Yeah.
Okay. My goal in getting people together today here was so that sort of everyone who was anti-death penalty could come together. A lot of people are against the death penalty for many different reasons, so I asked two reverends who are very progressive from different churches to come and share a little bit about why they're against the death penalty. I think it's important that the people that are anti-death penalty aren't just seen as crazy progressive people. A lot of people are anti-death penalty for many different reasons. So I've asked Pastor Dan DeLeon from Friends Congregational Church out of College Station to come, who's going to speak first, if you will. And then Reverend Kyle Childress from Nacogdoches Austin Baptist Heights is also here. He'll speak after. And then Professor Jerry Williams, who's a professor with the Sociology Department, Stephen F. Austin, is also here to share why he's opposed to the death penalty. So,
Shalom, everyone, and peace be with you. It's good to see you. So, Sari said that I'm supposed to be here as a clergy person who shows that we're not all crazy progressive types, but all ministers are absolutely crazy. Do not forget that. I'm glad to be with you guys. I also wanted to point out that my group of folks who come with me from College Station, there is a protest that is happening in College Station tonight as well, and we bring you greetings of peace from Friends Congregational Church of the United Church of Christ there in College Station. I may appear to be dressed for a funeral, but I suppose that is appropriate. When I go to funerals, sometimes I've heard it said that we are not gathered because someone died. We are gathered because they lived. And we might be gathered here tonight on the occasion of the 200th execution in our state on, as you just heard a moment ago, Governor Perry's watch. But our purpose isn't to recognize death. Instead, our purpose is to illuminate life. So we're gathered also in a spirit of love, and that's what I'm here to talk to you for just a moment about, is that spirit in which we're gathered. So listen, if you would, to these words of Jesus that come out of the Gospel of Matthew, when he says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer, but if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also." And yeah, we've heard that tired old statement before, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but tonight we will have heard it 439 times since 1982 in the form of executions in the state of Texas. Now, Jesus talks about a peaceful alternative to that tired old statement, but Martin Luther King Jr. talks about the consequences of it. King writes, "Hate begets hate, violence begets violence, toughness begets an even greater toughness." So we wonder, oh dear Jesus, oh dear Brother Martin, will we ever learn? When will we turn a deaf ear to that tired old statement, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? When will we give up on this failed experiment in fear? Now, in 1958, Dr. King wrote an essay called An Experiment in Love. And the experiment was that bold act that's carried out by so many women and men during the civil rights movement, the nonviolent resistance to evil. And King writes that nonviolent resistance to evil avoids not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of the spirit. An execution, it may be an act of external physical violence, but what's left behind as a result of that execution is this lingering internal violence of spirit. We're the ones with that internal violence of spirit that Jesus was talking to then and that Jesus is talking to now. I wanted to share with you, did you know that the Pew Research Center did a survey recently where they asked 724 adult Americans about their opinions on torture, and that 54% of those who go to church at least once a week, they say that torture is often, or at least sometimes, okay. Something is terribly wrong here. We people of faith would do well to remember King's words that hate begets hate, violence begets violence, that toughness begets an even greater toughness. We would do well to set aside this experiment in fear, because it only leads to more hate, more violence, and always to an even greater toughness. We need to embrace an experiment in love, and the good news is that that experiment in love has already been outlined by the good Dr. King 51 years ago. He said that nonviolent resistance to evil is based on the conviction that the universe is on the side of justice. The universe is on the side of justice. If the universe is on the side of justice that is reached through nonviolent resistance to evil, then let's continue to be on the side of that justice by never giving up on this experiment in love. The consequence of being on the side of justice is that we have a deep faith in the future. We've heard it said, yes, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That was in the past. The past recognizes those things that have passed away. The future illuminates life, and the future is rooted in justice. So I pray that God may forgive us all of our violent spirit that is within this night and always as we look ahead. And I thank all of you for being out here this evening. Peace be with you.